This podcast is a production of Widener Law Commonwealth in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. For more information, visit commonwealthlaw.widener.edu/podcast. Now here's your host, Julie Massing.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. In our podcast, we are visiting with the Commonwealth Professor of Law and Government, Jill Family. She is also the director of our Law and Government Institute. And we also have with us an alumna of 2013, Liana Walters. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Sure.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
Today we're going to get some information and look at our Law and Government Institute, which is one of our keystone programs here at Widener Law Commonwealth. So, Jill, I kind of wanted to start with you. Can you just give some background on the Law and Government Institute, how it was started, when it was started, that sort of thing?
So, government law has sort of always been woven into the heart of this law school. We're located in the state capital of Pennsylvania. And throughout the whole history of the law school, there's been strong threads of people who are interested in government law, teaching at the law school, attending the law school. And so all of that sort of formally came together in 1999 when the Law and Government Institute was founded. And so the Institute has been around since then, and it really focuses on educating students and the public about government law. And when I say government law, I'm talking about law that involves people's interactions with the government at all sorts of levels. So it could be it could be lawyers working for state agencies. It could be private law attorneys who are representing clients who are appearing before the government in some sort of capacity. It could be more sort of policy focused in terms of drafting legislation that the legislature is working on. It could be working as a legal advisor to the government. And so all of people who sort of share interest in that kind of legal practice, the Law and Government Institute is sort of a natural place for all those people to come together. And so we're really sort of a focal point for students who are interested in that kind of work, lawyers who are interested in that kind of work, policymakers as well.
Okay. And are there different parts of the certificate program within the Law and Government Institute? Are there different certificates available?
Yes. So one of the main things that the Institute does is we offer a certificate program for students. And so this is a chance for students to concentrate their legal studies on government law. We don't have majors in law school, but this way students who complete the certificate requirements can graduate both with their Juris Doctorate degree and a certificate in government law, which really signals to employers and the world that they've concentrated their elective legal studies on government law. So to get a law and government certificate, students need to take certain classes, and they need to complete an internship, and they need to complete the law school's writing requirement on a government law topic. And we offer 3 certificates, one in administrative law, one in legislation, and one in environmental law. And so the course requirements for those 3 certificates are a little different, but overall all 3 share the requirement of certain classes, an internship, and fulfilling the law school's writing requirement on a government law topic.
Okay. Excellent. So, Liana, I know that you work for the state of Pennsylvania, and I know that you received a certificate from the Law and Government Institute.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that process, about what you do in your job, and how maybe that certificate helped you in your career?
So I'm the legislative director for State Senator Art Haywood. I am essentially responsible for facilitating all of the legislation, meaning bills, resolutions, for him and his office, as well as any committee interactions, meetings, hearings. I have to coordinate all of that, as well as be an executive director for 2 committees. The senator is the chairman of the Aging and Youth Committee and the Communications and Technology Committee. So I am the executive director for both of those committees. So we do a lot of, recently we did Real ID. Yesterday we had a hearing in Communications and Technology on the statewide radio network that law enforcement uses in their vehicles. as well as a lot of the human service components that affect the aging population, individuals with disabilities under 60, and children. So it's a very varied job, and it depends day to day what's going on. But the Long Government Institute really has enabled me to have a clearer picture of where the senator fits in to state government, and thereby where I fit in. So having classes like state constitutional law was an invaluable class to me, as was, I took administrative law, actually with Professor Family. But it was awesome because I could see how the legislature interacts with agencies, regulatory review, administrative procedures. All of those things are very, very critical when it comes to legislation, because many drafters have a tendency to burden a draft with too many details that really hampers down what an agency has to do when it goes to promulgate regulations. So it really helps me to understand, okay, this is where we end and the regulatory part begins. And of course, that's, depending on the senator, right? I mean, the senator is the one who actually does the legislation. He has his name on it. He directs how it goes. I help him to facilitate it. I analyze the policy. I tell him what, is possible, what's not possible. If something is not possible, you never actually say that. You say, well, this actually, I'm not sure we can do it this way, but maybe we can do it, in way A, B, or C. So the most critical part that I found for what I do is my concentration was in legislation itself. So I took a legislation class and then a legislative drafting class with Professor Vince DeLiberato, who's actually the executive director for the Legislative Reference Bureau. And they're kind of the clearinghouse proofreaders for legislation before it gets actually introduced. They make sure that everything we have is, it works with, whatever statutes are around it, interacts, properly cites other statutes. So that class, and even to this day, I still look at and pull out some of my textbooks, specifically from the drafting course, because it provides a really good guideline for the structure of a draft, what enabling pieces are required for that draft, what language it means. May means, permissive, shall is, instructive, they have to do it. And actually, even today, I interviewed an intern for next summer, and I actually ended up hiring him, but I told him, I said, you need to take a picture of this book. And I pulled it out, and I said, it's $20. I highly recommend that you get it. If you don't want to, I'm sure they have a copy on file at Widener Law, at their library. But this is something that you will use because I'm going to teach you how to draft too. So it's something I use all the time, and it's very, very critical to what I do.
Excellent. And now you had mentioned, Jill, that an internship is required as part of the certificate. Leon, where did you do your internship? Did you do it within the Capitol? Or?
I did.
Okay.
So I originally started interning with State Senator Anthony Williams. And actually, Senator Williams is also from Philadelphia. My current boss is from Philadelphia, so I've spent 5 years working for Philadelphia legislators. I worked for him for 2 years as an intern. My philosophy was, I was never someone that was always at the top of my class, but I would work for whatever I got. And my theory was, well, if I can't have a 4.0 GPA by my name, I have a good GPA, but I also want a resume to back it up that shows all the work product I've done. And I figured, well, otherwise I'd just be playing video games at home, so I have nothing better to do than build up my resume.
Right.
So that's where I started. And then once I passed the bar, they hired me as a legislative counsel.
Okay. Now,
So you ended up getting full-time work where you interned
Yes.
during law school.
Yes.
now, we did also talk a little bit about opportunities and about what Liana did. Jill, can you tell us a little bit about some of the other opportunities that students may have once they graduate, some of the other positions that this certificate may help?
Yeah, I mean, the students do internships in state government sort of in all facets. I mean, it could be like Liana worked in the legislature, could be that they're working in the governor's office of general counsel or interning in the governor's office of general counsel. It could be that they're interning in a particular state agency. Every state agency has lawyers that work just for that state agency. It could be that they're interning for a state administrative law judge who is adjudicating disputes between a particular agency and a regulated party. It could also be that they're interning in the private sector, but for a private law attorney who, for example, would be representing clients before a state agency or something like that. So there really is a wide variety, and we have students as well that intern at the federal level as well, both in Washington, D.C. and in Pennsylvania, but for, Congress people or senators. And so there really is sort of a wide variety. And, there are a lot of students who, like Liana, are lucky that their internship turns into something full-time afterwards. Even for those students where it doesn't work out that way, the great thing is after their internship, they've got a great reference, and they're sort of building their network of people within state government who, from what I've seen, have been very generous about wanting to help others sort of find, their best place within state government. And we do, at this point, we have over 180 alums who have graduated with a law and government certificate. So that's a nice sort of natural networking base as well.
Okay.
If I could jump in there, sure. I mean, my counterpart, as executive director of Aging and Youth, I'm the Democratic executive director, and the Republican executive director actually is an alum of Widener as well.
Oh, wonderful.
And her internship, she had 2 internships. She did intern at the state, in the state Senate thereafter, but her first internship actually was down in D.C. for a federal congresswoman. And I just thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked my internship too, though. But she had some cool stories to tell. That was for sure.
And that actually kind of leads me to the next question. What were some of your most valuable experiences that you gained while working towards your certificate? And earning your JD overall? In
school or out of school?
We can do both.
Okay.
Either one.
Out of school, and in 2012, so I began my internship in earnest in January 2012 with Senator Williams. That year, Pennsylvania was going through the legislative process and then an implementation process for a voter ID law. So that summer, because I wanted to stay there, and that was fun for me, but I actually helped the office to react to a lot of the law. The law kept getting updated over and over and over again. And it caused a lot of confusion for people. Mm-hmm. And it also disenfranchised a lot of people from my boss's point of view, and I think legitimately so. The court case in Commonwealth Court was that summer. So I spent every day in Commonwealth Court, and it was about a 7-day trial, I think, just taking mad notes. Mm-hmm. I mean, my fingers were like damaged after that week. But I was told afterward that it was helpful because the caucus was having a court case. They were suing Governor Corbett for his implementation of the voter ID law. So a lot of the things that were testified about in Commonwealth Court and presented were completely relevant, obviously, to the court case. But the notes, I like to hope, were helpful. But it was also super educational for me, personally. I had never witnessed a court case before that intimately, for sure. And it really showed me how the legislature can pass a law, how it goes through the sausage-making process, right? Then how an administrative agency can interpret that law, the limits of how that law can be interpreted. It was an invaluable experience for me. In school, honestly, I'm not sure I could pinpoint it to one experience. I mean, I had, again, the classes that I mentioned were invaluable. But for me personally, more of the overall atmosphere here at Widener was the thing that really allowed me to blossom. Mm-hmm. There's an open door policy with the professors. They're there anytime you need them. I have been in Professor Family's office probably more times than she would appreciate. No. But they're always there. They're always willing to answer the phone. They're willing to answer email, and they can answer any question you have. And the more you use the resources at your disposal, the professors, alumni, the better off you will be in your experience. Mm-hmm. And that's really something that I truly valued, because it's really, any education, you're only going to get out what you put into it. But at Widener, there are a lot of opportunities to really put in effort and have that reward come back to you.
Okay. And as we're kind of talking about those opportunities, the Law and Government Institute offers a lot of continuing legal education and other programs throughout the year. Jill, can you tell us a little bit about those and how even maybe people can get involved and support those kind of things?
Sure. So that's another big aspect of what the Institute does, is we put on public programming and programming for attorneys and policymakers on different government law topics, and we have a very active schedule of events. And if people are interested, they can look up those events on the law school's website, which is commonwealthlaw.widener.edu. Mm-hmm.
Or on the Law and Government Twitter page.
Right. So that was the next thing I was going to mention, is that, or if you like Twitter and you use Twitter, which we are at Widener LG. And it's a pretty active Twitter feed, and we tweet a lot about our events. But just to give you some examples of some things we did over the last school year, we had a debate of the candidates who were running for Attorney General. We have our Jurist in Residence lecture, where we have this last year and this coming year, we have a Commonwealth Court judge who is our Jurist in Residence, one of our alums, Judge Kevin Brobson, who gave a lecture. We did a really interesting program on the opioid epidemic this year as well. And the law school has also hosted some legislative activities. So, for example, this year we had a Senate Democratic Policy Roundtable on government reform at the law school. And then we also hosted, the Commonwealth Court actually sat at the law school. They heard oral argument in cases at the law school. So we try to plan events that sort of will have wide cross appeal to get students together, members of the public, attorneys, policymakers. Often we partner with other prominent organizations in the area, like the Dauphin County Bar Association, mm-hmm. or we did an event this year with the Pennsylvania State Association of Township Supervisors. And so we really want to be a hub. We really want to try to be a meeting place. And by being that meeting place, we can bring people together, but also, perhaps most importantly, it gives our students a chance to meet all those different people.
Excellent.
And I'd like to add, it never ceases to amaze me how many Widener grads end up working mm-hmm. in state government. Mm-hmm. Off the top of my head, I could name you 10 people in the legislature alone that are graduates of the Law and Government Institute.
Yeah. So, and can you expand a little bit on maybe how the program is growing, Jill? Like what we can expect maybe to see in the way of activities moving into the next year? I know, for the summer things are a little more quiet, but what do we have planned coming up in the fall?
Sure. So one thing we're really proud of is Pre-Law Magazine named the law school one of the top 20 law schools for government law. And so we've been recognized for everything that we're doing, but as you said, we sort of keep going. Mm-hmm. And so I think the coming academic year will have a lot more programming. Next year we'll have a Juris in Residence lecture. We also have a Getted lecture every year, which is sort of a more scholarly lecture, usually on administrative law. We'll have programming geared to sort of current events issues. And we're also sort of working to expand the student experience. We're always looking for ways that we can sort of expand what our students are getting out of the Institute and sort of making the Institute, sort of, if you're a student and you're pursuing a law and government certificate, that you're part of sort of a smaller community within the law school. And those students often, are the first to get information about events or if I can, the Law and Government Institute will sponsor students to attend programming that's not on campus that they're particularly interested in attending. And I'm able to do that because of the generous support of many of our alums who sort of saw what the Institute did for them, and they're willing to give back now.
Great. Well, ladies, do you have anything else that you would like to add about the Institute or the certificate program before we kind of wrap up?
I just want to thank Liana for coming in to do this.
Yes, thank you.
June is a crazy month
in
the Pennsylvania legislature.
It's like summer camp for hell. But we're on a down day, so it's all right.
Yeah, so it was very nice of her to share her time.
I am happy to be here. I'm happy to give back in any way I can. I think Widener really shaped me as a human being in many ways. You learn a lot about yourself in law school, which, but that's good. That's good for your career. You know your limits. You know how you need to study. You know how you need to read legislation. And I originally came into law school to do intellectual property law, music industry law. Mm-hmm. And I am blessed to have many interests and was blessed to be taken under the wing of the Law and Government Institute. And really, I liked this, and I kept it going. So it's a really great opportunity here at Widener. And I can't ever speak highly enough of my alma mater. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now, everybody knows I kind of like to end on a fun question, so I wanted to ask you both, what are you currently binge watching?
I feel like I should make up something really highly intellectual, like a professor.
No, tell us the good stuff.
I'm almost done. I have one episode left.
Oh, it's always so sad when there's one episode left.
In the current season of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Okay.
That show is funny.
Yeah.
I like that show. I'm not nearly caught up on it. I've been... Actually, the thing I have been binge watching lately is The Pacific, the HBO documentary, a band of brothers, but in the Pacific.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm watching, too.
I like it. I don't know.
No, that does look interesting.
After you're finished with your other one.
Yeah. Well, what's cool is, I can't read regular books anymore. Mm-hmm. My eyes are so zonked out at the end of the day from reading everything. Mm-hmm. But I do audiobooks as well. So one of the books that it's based on is called Helmet for My Pillow by Robert Leckie. And the actor who played him actually narrates the book. So it's really cool. It's like, ooh, more story, But that's actually, and that's usually, I usually don't stream things that intellectual, to be honest. I usually play a lot of video games.
Okay.
But, Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
All right. Well, thanks to both of you for joining me today on this beautiful summer day. And thanks to our listeners for tuning in. Stay tuned for more podcasts coming to you this summer. And also, we just wanted to remind our listeners, if you have a suggestion for an upcoming podcast, our contact information is on our website, and you are able to contact us with other ideas. Thanks so much for listening.
Widener University Commonwealth Law School is the Pennsylvania capital's only law school, with 3 specialized centers of legal scholarship through its Law and Government Institute, Environmental Law and Sustainability Center, and Business Advising Program. Widener Law Commonwealth offers an exceptional learning experience that is personal, practical, and professional. Visit commonwealthlaw.widener.edu for more information.